Thank you, Dr. Mamta, so much for joining us on 60 Days, 60 Voices. This is an initiative that GAME has started with all of our partners. And the idea being that today, especially in this time in a COVID impacted world, it is so important for us to come together. There's none of us that hasn't been impacted, and more so as we try to support small businesses, rural livelihoods. It's really important that we come together, and therefore we were trying to bring as many voices to show support as possible. So I'm extremely happy to have you as Mission Director, National Rural Livelihoods Mission for Karnataka on this series. Dr. Mamta, my first question is, it is now about 2.5 months since we've been living this. What are the biggest challenges you are seeing in your role with the Rural Livelihood Mission, Dr. Mamta?
The biggest challenge I found in this whole episode of the pandemic is that, see, our whole program hinges on community and community participation. So when you talk about the social distancing as such, this meeting of community becomes impossible. The self-help groups meeting and deciding on various things is a no-no right now. And the next thing is livelihood. We are a livelihood initiative. So the livelihoods take a very big beating. And these are all small micro enterprises which cannot sustain without the daily income revenue coming in. And some of them are just in the starting stages, and some of them are on the verge of scaling up. So all of them get a real beating right now. And they don't have any cash or finance to fall back on right now. Then many of the livelihoods that we are actually doing right now need them to go out. Like, for example, we are into goatery, we are into cattle rearing, we are into all these, and plus farm livelihood. All this go into a very big beating, and that has been the challenge that we have been facing. So our whole the perspective at that time when this whole thing started was to move people out of or move them out of the kind of livelihood they were into, or say give an additional livelihood which could sustain during the lockdown period and during the period of pandemic. So that we took it as a challenge, and sometime during February itself we started making arrangements to move into alternative livelihoods, additional livelihoods for many thousands of our women. Let me just tell you, I have about 11 lakh women in 1,68,000 self-help groups, and that is around 11 lakh 68,000 women. So so thousands of women had to be put into alternate livelihood. That was a very big challenge.
That's a phenomenal number, right, Dr.
Yeah.
Mamta? But given this challenge, and some of you hinted on it on the aspect of looking at different kinds of livelihoods, are there any other innovative steps that the mission itself is taking at this point to be able to say, okay, once we emerge from this, there are things we'll have to do differently? Have you had the time to think about that, Dr. Mamta?
Yes, we have actually, as I told you, this is something I realized sometime in February itself, end of January, February, because that was the time I was going around quite a bit to Delhi for the annual action plan meetings and various meetings. And every time I went to the airport and I saw people, and we saw people in China and various other countries, Italy and Spain and all, going into issues, we immediately had to re-engineer ourselves. So what we started doing is, I started putting women into making what would be necessary for people during lockdown and after lockdown in the pandemic kind of a situation, because pandemic is going to be a part of our life. It's not going to in the near future, we don't see it move, saying completely we'll get out of it, not like SARS or any other pandemic that we saw. This is going to be a part of our life. We have to live with it. Like our Prime Minister said, it's a, we have to live with it. And so we put our women into mask making. So we immediately trained them into mask making in such a way that those women who are already into tailoring kind of work, they get directly into it. And those women who are not, and who have been into retail marketing and running small shops and things like that, we put them into identifying in their own village and environment those that are into tailoring, identifying the tailors, putting them all into groups, and then with that moving into getting work done out of the tailors, paying them their due, and taking a margin, making masks, marketing the masks. The next thing I did is I put all the government missionaries, put these women onto all the government missionaries, so that they start getting orders. So it was not as if we were making masks and then looking for a market. We already had orders by government departments, health department, various urban development departments, and various government departments, plus a lot of pharmacies, because they found that masks were being sold to them at very high prices. They all moved to buying self-help group masks, prepared masks, because they were coming at the a much cheaper price than the rest of it. So we had to actually do these masks and do it in the scientific way. So we had to take the help of health department, and as per the health department direction and their training. So the health department trained our women into making these masks. And so once the masks are made, they were also sanitized. And then we were able to put them onto, selling them. So now that the pandemic, the lockdown is sort of eased out, now that our women are able to move around quite a bit, we are now looking at alternative markets too. I have already started sending flyers to all the companies, very big companies and medium and large scale industries and small scale industries. We are sending it out, garment factories, various places. We're sending out our flyers with the numbers of our SHG women, so that they can give an order to these women and pick them up from that. So we're looking at alternate market. And another thing that I did is I immediately registered my women on government e-marketplace. So all my mask making women are on government e-marketplace. So their orders don't just come from within their own Gram Panchayat level or within their own state, within our own state. It comes from the entire country. So government, entire country will be able to look at the mask making women and pick up the right kind of mask they want and give orders. And these are delivered via the couriers and places.
Thanks, Dr. Mamta. I mean, what you've said is really gratifying, because in a sense, you have managed in the circumstances to be one step ahead as is possible, at least from a planning perspective. But I wanted to ask you one final question. You again touched on it. You are leading to corporations. What kind of collaborations will support what you're doing right now, Dr. Mamta, apart from just government support, which is already there, and corporate? Is there some other ways that different collaborations can come to support this?
We have also looked at a lot. I mean, we're looking at community as the market. See, that we're looking at the community at large as the market. So now we are now moving these, see, whichever Gram Panchayat is making these masks, they are trying to look at all the Gram Panchayats around their areas and selling it there and there itself. So we have already made around 30 lakh masks and around almost a lakh PPE gowns and a lakh headgears, aprons, hospital, hospital gowns and hospital linen. That is what we've made. And we are now, that is not the only thing we are doing. We are also putting women into wash products. Wash products is like phenyl, soaps, liquid soaps, sanitizers, these kind of things also we are putting our women into. Then the Next thing is a compulsorily to all the 11 lakh women and odd women, we are putting them into backyard poultry, kitchen garden, and a group of women wanting to get into sanitary napkins. We found that it will, while we're talking about masks, we are not looking at sanitary napkins, which is also a very vital thing during all these kind, because people can't move around and go to different places to buy these kind of things. So we are now also making these, plus food products, ready to eat kind of food products. And then another thing is farmers are throwing away their produce because they're not able to harvest it. So now our women have moved into that, and they're able to procure vegetables and sort them and market them. And I have linked up with Hopcoms and a lot of other, vegetable markets, big markets. So we are able to sell to them. We are also looking at malls, and once they open, and we are also looking at metro and other places, supermarkets, for selling these. But we ourselves are developing an e-platform which will link up to other e-marketing, e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, Facebook. So we are now having one which will actually talk to these, and we'll be able to push our products on these. And it will be, the database will be on the e-commerce platform is something that we are also creating ourselves. And this is how we are looking at taking it forward. And one thing is, another thing which our women did, which is very, very commendable, is during the lockdown, they made food for the migrant workers and people who have been stranded in the community kitchen. They also went around distributing ration from the fair price depots to all the homes. And also they created awareness about what is COVID, and UNICEF and NIRD collaborated with us in training our women to be able to go down to the villages and to go to from every door to door, creating awareness and counseling women, because most people go into depression around this time. So we have also trained our women into counseling, and we are starting around 176 mobile counseling units in all the villages. This is apart from our own livelihood activity, to be able to communicate the nutrition, food, and habits of food, consuming food, and also counseling them to handle their own lives during this COVID pandemic situation, because for the next few months we may have to live with this.
Thank you, Dr. Mamta. It's really heartening, and I think this is the very reason why we've had these series, right? Because of so many of the efforts that you have made, someone else listening to this can learn from this and adapt. And because if nothing else, this pandemic has shown us that we have to be about humility and being there for everybody. Thank you so much.